Hello, I'm Elaine Clark and I'm a child's volunteer, and today I'm going to read you a story. This story is called Ruby's Worry and it's by Tom Percival. I'll try and let you see the pictures as I read it, but it might mean that I've got to peep round the sides of the book a little bit to let you see it. Let's meet Ruby. Ruby loved being Ruby. She loved to swing up high. Do you like swinging up high? I do. Reminds me of a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson about being on a swing. I might tell you that one at the end. And she loved to explore far away places. Sometimes she even went all the way to the very bottom of the garden. Ruby was perfectly happy until one day. One day she discovered a worry. It wasn't a very big worry, but it was a worry all the same. In fact, it was so small that at first Ruby hardly noticed it. But then the worry started to grow. Each day it got a little bigger. It just wouldn't leave her alone. It was there at breakfast, staring at her over the cereal box. And it was still there at night when she cleaned her teeth. The funny thing was that no one else could see it, not even her teacher. And so Ruby tried to pretend that she couldn't see it either. But that worry was still there. She tried to carry on as if everything was normal, but it just wasn't. The worry was always there, stopping her from doing her favourite things that she loved doing. Ruby wondered if the worry would ever go away. What if it didn't? What if it stayed with her forever? Ruby didn't realise that she was doing the worst thing that you can possibly do if you have a worry. She was worrying about it. Now the worry was enormous. It would barely fit in the kitchen at tea time. It filled up half of the school bus. It was huge. And it took up whole rows at the cinema. The worry became the only thing that Ruby could think about, and it seemed as if she would never be happy again. Then one day something really unexpected happened. Ruby noticed a little boy sitting alone at the park. He looked just how she felt. He looked so sad. And then she noticed something else hovering just beside him. Could it be? Was it? Was it a worry? It was. Ruby realised that she wasn't the only person with a worry after all. Other people had them too. She asked the boy what was on his mind. And when she did, the strangest thing happened. His worry began to shrink. Then Ruby did the best thing that you can ever do if you ever have a worry. She talked about it. And as the words tumbled out, and as Ruby's worry began to shrink, it began to shrink until it was barely there at all. Soon, both of their worries were gone. Finally, Ruby felt just like her old self again. Of course, that wasn't the last time she ever had a worry. Everyone gets worries from time to time. But now she knew how to get rid of them. She knew that if she talked about them, they wouldn't hang about for long. I think a pigeon's just come to hear this story as well. And that was the story of Ruby's worry. Remember, if you ever have a worry, share it with somebody, talk to somebody about it, and you'll find your worry will start to shrink as well. Do you remember at the beginning of the story that Ruby was on her swing, and I said that reminds me of a poem? It's a poem that I used to know when I was quite a little child. And it was a poem written by a very famous Scottish poet called Robert Louis Stevenson. And I don't remember the whole poem now. I should really have perhaps gone to look it up before I started this. But it's called The Swing. How I like to go up in the air so blue. Oh, I do think it's the pleasantest thing that ever a child can do. Up in the air, over the wall, till I can see so wide, rivers and trees and all over the countryside. I've perhaps not remembered that absolutely accurately, but perhaps you get a chance to go on the swing. I used to love imagining imaginary worlds when I was on my swing. And as you swung higher and higher, you could see just a little bit more each time. Maybe you'll get a chance to go out on a swing. I hope you've enjoyed today's story.